rolling right now. Okay,
very good. Well, first of all, congratulations on kind of everything this Ingmar Bergman project has become. It's a great thing. Talk about, first of all, for those that don't know, a lot of people don't know the story, how this originated, this musical, this radio production, how the initial call came, how it all happened.
Well, in 2009, we had been commissioned by the Swedish National Radio to do a radio musical. A woman there that ran the radio station had seen us live. She wasn't like a longtime Sparks fan. She actually had seen us fairly recently. And so usually they commission local Swedish people to do musicals, but she thought that maybe we would be suitable for a musical. And we've always been interested in kind of trying to break out of just album touring, and this was kind of a project that we thought would really be kind of opening ourselves up to something else musically. So we accepted that. The one stipulation that she put on the whole project was that it had to have something to do with Sweden. And our knowledge of Sweden is not so great. You know, they're the three things, you know, the Volvo and IKEA, but we had been really big fans of the films of Ingmar Bergman, the great Swedish director, since we had gone to university. So we thought maybe there was a way to do some sort of fantasy involving Ingmar Bergman, and in any case, this was presented in a theater live in Stockholm, but the screen was completely blank, so it was just an audience staring at a black screen, and but it was incredibly successful. Mm-hmm. So we approached. We thought that maybe there was a way to kind of take this another step further, and the LA Film Festival was really excited about the project, but also in the meantime, we were big fans of the Canadian film director Guy Maddin, and through a friend of ours at KCRW, Michael Silverblatt, he introduced us to Guy Maddin, and Guy really liked this project and liked what we did. So we thought that maybe this festival would be a way for all of us to work together, kind of pre to the actual film version of this, which is our hope, and to be honest, a dream of ours to have a movie musical made. Mm-hmm. So long answer.
No, that's good. But what is it about you guys that take on a project like this? Some people would think, oh, it sounds great, but too daunting, or I have 6 great songs I need to work on. Talk about just kind of what is it about you guys that makes it work.
Sparks has had a really long career, and this with Seduction of Ingmar Bergman is our 22nd album, and so we're always trying to find just ways to be able to present what we're doing in some new form that's going to keep us excited and hopefully keep an audience excited too about Sparks. And even for an audience that hasn't even heard of the band, we're always approaching things saying, well, this is the first album we've ever done on any of our latest projects, and if someone was just to be introduced to Sparks by our latest thing, we would like it to stand on its own and be striking and relevant to right now. And we always find it a challenge just to try to come up with something that's going to be what maybe other bands wouldn't do or couldn't do, and especially bands that have had a long career like we've had.
Mm-hmm. And even the restrictions time-wise on this project, we were given 7 months to record it, to write it and record it, and for some bands that's kind of a career, but for us it's a short amount of time, and that was one reason why we kind of hesitated a little bit at the beginning to even accept the commission to do the project, because we wanted to do it in an amazing way, but we thought maybe 7 months was too short an amount of time, but it kind of motivated us to not go our usual pokey way.
But what's the first step then? Is it a breakfast meeting with the two of you? Is it going to the DVD store and buying all the films again? And what's the creative process like in such a cool project like this?
Well, we never have breakfast meetings, but no, a lot of what you said is the way we started off with the project. Once we thought that this could be a viable next thing for Sparks to do, we did go out and just buy every Bergman film. We had seen most of them when we were at UCLA, but we, it's been a long time since we've seen some of those films, and so we thought that the first thing we had to do was just to reacquaint ourselves with this whole catalog of films. So we went through all of those, and we read a lot and researched a lot about Bergman, just so we would not be complete idiots when we presented this to especially a Swedish audience, and where there could be anyone saying, well, what, you guys are Americans, what do you know about our major cultural icon Ingmar Bergman? And so we wanted to make sure that we presented him in a light that was going to be acceptable to especially a Swedish audience, and we were so happy to find out after we did this that they really responded to it, and there was no issue at all that we were Americans talking about this Swedish cultural hero. So we researched all of his films and watched lots of interviews. There was a great old interview with Dick Cavett, who had Ingmar Bergman on, and we were really happy to find out that some of the lines that we actually incorporated for Ingmar Bergman to say into our musical, they were things that Ingmar Bergman would have actually said. And there was one line in this Dick Cavett interview where Dick Cavett says, well, what would you do if a producer came onto the set and you kind of didn't want anyone outside tinkering with your creation? What would you do? And he said, I would tell them to go to hell. And there's one line that we had written previous to seeing the Dick Cavett interview where Ingmar Bergman says he's trying to decide whether he should accept this offer and stay in Hollywood, try to make things work for his own interest, to be better funded than he could be back home in Sweden. So he's thinking to himself, I must not be hasty. He says, but my first inclination would be to tell these people to go to hell. So we were happy that we kind of were getting the right spirit and tone of Ingmar Bergman.
You knew you guys were on the right track, yeah. In terms of the tone of the whole piece, how did that settle in? Does that happen innately, just from your sensibilities? And there's humor and there's some serious stuff. When does that come into play? At what point in the process?
Well, once we decided that we wanted to do something about Ingmar Bergman, then we had to figure out musically where this was going to go, and we didn't want it to be just a small chamber music piece. We wanted it to have at least some part of it that was bombastic, and the way that we figured out that maybe we could do that is to have Bergman coming to Hollywood and kind of at the end of the project being involved in a Hollywood movie, so that we were able to use that style of music, that kind of overdone music in a way, and contrast that with kind of things that are a lot simpler and smaller. And we've always liked just kind of not having a consistency musically to what we do. And so even in a musical, I mean, usually a musical will have the up-tempo songs and the slower things, but the style is kind of consistent. And we kind of felt that we've worked in so many styles that doing a radio musical like this, that we could kind of incorporate that kind of schizophrenia in what we were doing musically. So there are things that are really heavy guitar things, and then there are things that are just piano, and then there are things that are just big orchestra pieces, and we like that inconsistency. And that kind of inconsistency also carried over dramatically, we think, because there's the aspect that's the American aspect, where everything is kind of frivolous. I mean, we were taking cliches, but that was our privilege, and especially since we're American to say that. And then the Bergman character, who is more severe and kind of existential and thinking of big things.
In what ways is this thing personal to you guys in terms of art versus commerce and location, and some of this takes place in almost in your own backyard thematically? How much of this do you guys relate to? Obviously there's that interest level there, and so many themes of, I can relate on the outside to maybe what you guys have gone through over the years with music to Bergman.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it was something that was conscious from the beginning that we would do something that was as specific as that theme, but I think after the fact we kind of, we realized that maybe the story of the Seduction of Ingmar Bergman does relate to Sparks as well, that there's always that battle of, well, if you did things a different way creatively or artistically, or kind of sold your soul to the devil in a certain way, would that ultimately help you in the long run in a better way? And so I think, people dangle things in front of you along the way through your career and say, what you guys really should be doing is, and it's some things that we just couldn't or can't accept creatively and artistically. And I think the theme throughout this, through the Seduction of Ingmar Bergman, has that undercurrent as well, where Ingmar Bergman's saying, well, I've got this offer to come to Hollywood somehow in this fantastical sort of way that he finds himself transported to Hollywood. He's considering, in a certain way, selling himself to the evil Hollywood, and but in the end, through a long story, he decides that he's got to be true to his own artistic vision, and he can't do it, and he has to return to Sweden. So I think there's some parallels between our aesthetic and Ingmar Bergman's in that way. Not talking about about quality or anything like that, but just the the ideals that we both maybe upheld.
And your own experience with Hollywood over the years, I know you guys have been in films, you provided music for many films, there's been attempted film projects over the years. You guys have put into words kind of your relationship to the film world here in this town and how it's gone, and if you can kind of characterize that.
Well, we were both at UCLA, and we've done taken film courses and stuff. So we've always really had a strong interest in movies, and I think where our interests lie mostly is less with doing film scores, but more with trying to find vehicles where we could present what we think we do best is sort of our Sparks vision of things, and how people have always said that Sparks is really visual, their music is really visual, and we see that, and we've always wanted to try to find ways to kind of put what we're doing beyond just an album format, but into a format that actually is a film. And we've had a project that we had been working on for ages during the late 80s, early 90s, that was with Tim Burton, a musical based on a Japanese comic book called My the Psychic Girl. And for various reasons it didn't kind of get together at that time, but recently we've been speaking with Tim again, and the project has a new life, so we're hoping that can now it'll now end up being our second musical after the Seduction of Ingmar Bergman. But we really feel that our strength is in doing something that incorporates a lyrical slant to it that one can't do as just a film music composer, and that being able to shape things not only musically but also lyrically is something that we pride ourselves on.
And just talk about what's probably just the sheer joy of being part of a major film festival like this for you guys. It's something different in lots of ways, and you're a big part of this festival. Just how great is that for you two at this point in your career to be part of this?
Well, we're really proud that, first of all, that they really thought so much of the project, to have us do this, and also it's taking a chance on their part. I mean, to their credit, they don't really know what we're doing yet. So, but they've given us that freedom, and it's it's a real honor for us to really be almost the only theatrical event at a film festival. I mean, we will have projections, and Guy Madden, our hoped for director, will be on stage giving kind of stage directions to everybody, but it is basically a theatrical event, so you know, it's a real honor for us. I mean, our fantasy is always to be able to maybe play a tour not of rock venues, but of film festivals around the world. So this is kind of a start towards that goal, you know, for us.
Will this performance feel completely different when you're up there on stage in terms of when you're doing a SPARKS show? Is it completely different energy coming forth from SPARKS?
It actually is completely different than a normal SPARKS show, because for the first time we're amongst a cast and not the only the leads of a cast when we're in a band, but we're both taking part as actors within this, but then we also have a cast of about 10 other actors, and the lead role, especially of Ingmar Bergman, is by a great Finnish actor named Peter Franzen, and he really is the one that has to carry this whole piece. And so it is really different for us to kind of take a back seat, and actually at this point too, for this particular performance, for us having to direct in a way actors that isn't our forte, but we're learning more about that too, and sort of being able to pitch in and give some ideas on the staging of this event. Mm-hmm. So for us, it is really different, where we're musicians in it. I'm going to be singing, and Ron's going to be playing. Ron's going to be doing musical segues between each of the pieces as Guy Madden does the stage narration for the upcoming piece. And Ron will accompany him live, and then it will break into the bigger pieces. And so then I'm singing. I'm the one of the ugly Hollywood film executives who tries to lure Ingmar Bergman to stay here, thinking that it can be a mutually beneficial experience. And Ron is the limousine driver that is hired, that's working for the film company, that's told he has to go and pick up Ingmar Bergman and chauffeur him around the city. And meanwhile, he makes sort of inane conversation with this genius director, but he's trying to, you know, he says like a little music on the radio, and he says, and Bergman answers very, you know, very sternly, no. And so Ron's got to make lots of small talk with him.
Inane conversation is my specialty.
What talk about the fun of you? There's a lot of
before we go to break, thank you, Dennis.
And we've had a lot of Ron over the years, not as much as Russell on record and on stage, but there's a lot of you obviously in this project. Just how great is that for you to be performing as such to this degree?
Well, I mean, it's different for me. I've never really considered myself other than just a songwriter and a keyboard player. But when we did the very first demos of this project, I played these parts just because it was only the two of us doing all the parts. I actually played Bergman as well, and you know, at that point you kind of sometimes get locked into what you did at the start, and you know, I would have gladly deferred to somebody else, but there's a certain kind of naive charm to how I'm performing those roles. So I mean, it's sort of a one-time affair. I'm not going to be branching out and doing my vocal album, but within the context of this project, it's really exciting, and also to work with people that are, you know, to be honest, real actors. You kind of see what it really takes, and how perhaps your skills are better directed sometimes in another direction. But it's a lot of fun, and because usually it's just my fingers, and to actually have to say something is it's a lot of work.
Yeah, well, you do it very well. Growing up in LA, and before college, when was you two as brothers your first appreciation of film? Was there certain theater you guys always went to growing up, and did you guys like the same movies at a certain point in your childhood?
Yeah, I think our parents, especially our father, always maybe lured us, and our mother too, to movie theaters. And you know, at the time you don't know why you're going, it's just what you do, and going to matinees and especially where they had not to date us at all, but where they actually played two movies at one time in one setting way back when. So that times have changed. But yeah, I remember seeing films, you know, and always just you didn't know why you liked them, what the attraction was, but it was just part of your regular routine, going to see films, anything and everything.
And the theaters themselves were something really special. I mean, that in Westwood they have the two great theaters, but in general it's now multiplexes, even if the theaters are large. And at that time it was all just self-contained theaters with ornate architecture, and also the programs were always really, there might be 2 films and a newsreel and a cartoon and a short, so it was kind of a whole, you know, a day's worth of of entertainment. And so, you know, it was really something really exciting for us.
How do you top this type of project? It's so grand and so wonderful in so many ways, and the film will be coming and all that kind of thing. Can you go back to doing a standard pop album? Is that in you guys anymore, or do you have to keep topping yourselves?
So, I mean, it's a good question, and you know, we don't know what the next Sparks project will be, but that's kind of exciting too. That you know, we can do anything. We kind of feel that we can head in any direction we want, and it won't be wrong. And but one thing we know is we want it to be something that's equally striking and provocative in some way. Because just to do a Sparks album that's kind of like, oh, did you hear there's a new Sparks album out? You know, that kind of we really feel we have to come up with ideas and just an approach, even if it's to a more traditional Sparks album, that's going to be something that will hopefully get noticed. And we did a couple of years back for our 21st album, we were trying to think of, well, what can we do that maybe no other band could do or would want to do to even make an audience be aware that they have a new album out. So we thought, well, we're going to perform all 21 of our albums consecutively 21 nights in a row. And so in London we did that a couple of years ago, just as a concept that we thought we could do, and no other band, even that would maybe have 21 albums, would be stupid enough to want to approach something that was that much work.
And Prince did 21 nights recently at the Forum, but you guys probably...
He jams though, man. He jams, you know, 21 nights of 45-minute long jams. Come on.
Exactly. Anyone can do that. And you guys were the first. And no 21 records, I don't think either. So.
Exactly.
You guys topped it. Now, not to date you guys again, but was there a 40th anniversary already that took place? Was there a celebration of that? Is that to come? Am I right with my numbers somewhere?
If there is, we'll ignore it. So, but yeah, we're proud of the work that we've done, and also just proud of the fact that even though we've been around a long time, perhaps the figure that you mentioned, that we don't kind of fall into the career arc of a lot of other bands that have been around a long time. We really feel that kind of what we're doing currently is at least as challenging, you know, to the listeners and to ourselves as anything that we did, you know, in the 70s or the 80s. So you know, on one hand we're kind of embarrassed by the longevity, but the other side of it is we're really proud that during that long time we really feel that we've been able to do a body of work that by and large really stands up as something strong, and that it isn't kind of heavily weighted quality-wise towards something from the very beginning.
You guys have always been moving forward, and how is that between the two of you and this great partnership the two of you had for a while? And who pushes who forward? Is it a constant push and pull, and is it? I'm sure it's innate at this point, but how does that work?
Yeah, I think it's just some unspoken thing, just where we both see in general eye to eye on how we should move forward, even if it's not something specific of what that how is, but just the idea that we have to move forward in some kind of way and do music that's going to be provocative, and not like in a sloganeering kind of way, but provocative, just musically challenging. And so I think that sort of thing, we both, it is an innate thing, and you just do it, and it's unspoken, and now we've been doing it for so long that it's, you know, there's no other way to work.
And you guys see this going on for many, many more years to come, with new fans joining the throngs, you know, every year. People are Should we be hungrier for more and more projects?
Yeah, well, that's the thing that we're really proud of. It seems like that each kind of decade that goes by, we retain the older fans that have been following the band from the beginning, but we always manage to pick up new fans along the way, and that's really the most satisfying thing in a certain way, knowing that what you're doing right now is appealing to a new audience. And so there's always been, in the 70s we had a really youthful audience that was following what the band was doing. In the 80s in Los Angeles there was another youthful audience because of places like K-Rock playing our albums then, and at that time the K-Rock audience wasn't even aware that we had a whole other career in England where there was all the Screaming Mania and stuff like that. And in the 90s we had big hit records in Germany that again really appealed to young people. And then, and so it's odd that the situation has been, like he had mentioned earlier, not the typical career arc where you can know what's happening in one area at any one time. It's kind of been very schizophrenic, but I think that's also been something that sort of kept us just motivated, because we know there's always some light out there that something to go for. So
always doing fresh for you guys.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. That's okay. The one thing that's really exciting about doing this event at the LA Film Festival is that it isn't just that it's maybe a younger audience, or that it might be actually a completely different audience that's there to see films, and that's really exciting for us, where we're playing for people and doing something that has to appeal to somebody sort of outside our comfort zone.
And knowing who could be at the show in terms of Hollywood luminaries that may come out and see you, and you guys have had friendships in that world along various years and stuff like that. Is that exciting? Do you guys still get excited by that kind of thing? Who may be coming to the show? What project that could lead to professionally?
No, absolutely. That's what we're, again, just like we're relishing about this evening is you don't know who will be there, and it is specifically for a film audience, or that's what it's being billed as in any case. And so we're just excited to know, that we don't know what it may or may not lead to, so that all that's exciting. Yeah, and we're, especially excited to be doing this. The goal was now to try to get this made as a feature film, and so that's goal number one by doing this evening. But also, you don't know what else it will lead to.
You guys still get nervous before a show like this? Something different? Are there nerves or butterflies as you're rehearsing or before you hit the stage?
Well, there are so many elements involved in this that we don't even have time really for nervousness, because we're kind of so concerned about so many issues, like so many people and the music and the projections and whether somebody's plane will be late that evening and all those kind of things. So the nervousness hasn't really set in quite yet. It's a luxury that we can't afford right now.
No. You know what you're doing. You know what you're doing. Is anything important we forgot? Well, just sort of talk at this venue. It's almost literally under the Hollywood sign in some ways. That must be just something unique. I don't know if that was on purpose or just in the cards.
The idea specifically that we're doing this sort of, in a way, Hollywood-themed musical in Hollywood. That was one of the attractions for the LA Film Festival. One of the producers for the festival, Doug Jones, had said he thought that this was, what better setting could there be for the Seduction of Ingmar Bergman and about what it's saying than to be doing it in Hollywood. So the John Ansonport Theater is it's in Hollywood. So we're doing it where it should be done.
I know you've been asked this many times, but just your voice and how you maintain that level of artistry at this point in your career.
Yeah, well, it's a battle, because I think in my case, I don't know for other singers what they do, but you just try to take care of your voice and be really active and do lots of working out and all the things that are really boring to do. But I think just working out and all that sort of stuff, and just lots of aerobics and all keeps, I think, your lung capacity up. It's all kind of boring answer, but I think it sort of works over time, and we're happy that with our 21 nights I was somehow able to sing the songs in the original key and all that kind of stuff. So it's, you know, it's about, and you always are worried, is there going to be a day you're going to wake up and it's not going to come out anymore or something, or it's going to be a basso or something. But so far for the moment it's working. So.
That could be a theme for another musical.
Exactly, the basso.
Yeah. But even the Russell Mael voice over the years, there's different variations on that, and it's never the same. Well, you've had fun with it over the years.
Yeah, yeah, and it's mainly dictated by the, you know, the songs that Ron writes. If it's lower or higher, kind of don't even question it. I just, you know, just sing it. So a lot of it's not even up to me. It's up to a lot of the material that he writes. Just sort of dictates the style of the singing, and a lot of the stuff really early on, the 70s stuff in England was really high and real high falsetto stuff and really fast, but there's been other periods in the 80s where it's gone down, lower the voice, and then we're going back up again.
Yeah, there you go, there you go. All right, just a couple fun things to finish us off, and this could be quick. Just proudest achievement professionally. You guys have a lot of good stuff. I know it's a tough one.
Yeah,
we could say it's this and that's.
It's a tough one. Yeah. Well, I mean, getting, you know, it's getting to, you know, just getting to do this project, the LA Film Festival, is something that we are proud of. I know it's the proudest moment of them all, but it's certainly the most current proud moment, and you know, we're just happy that our music is being taken in this serious of a context, and so that makes us happy when, you know, because pop music is, you know, by and large, you know, there's a certain kind of connotation about pop music, but that to be now, you know, taken as part of the, you know, film world and in this project is really something that's really satisfying for us.
Mm-hmm. Favorite album cover?
Oh, maybe Kimono My House. It's also, but not only because of the image of the two Japanese women on the cover, but just at that time, Island Records and Chris Blackwell were so supportive of Sparks, and that they were also seeing eye to eye to us where we didn't have the name of the band or the title of the album on the front cover. And I think in this day and age, you know, you gotta ram it down people's throats over their head what the title is, who the band is, and you know, just because that's marketing. And so that time they thought, and we did as well, that just a striking image would sell what it was that we were doing. So we were happy both visually and also for the record company at that time having a similar kind of aesthetic.
I mean, there's one personal proud moment for me was when Paul McCartney did the Coming Up video, and he did an impression of, well, of several other musicians, including the Beatlemania Paul, but the keyboard player was his impression of me at that point. Just my ego kind of went to its present level.
I had more respect for him too once Paul McCartney acknowledged him. I went, wow, maybe he's pretty cool.
Russell talked to you after that one.
Yeah.
I know you're fully engulfed in this music now, but what else are you two listening to at all right now? The current fave, something new?
Oh, I like to listen to things that I know that I can't do. So the styles, the genre of music, I like to listen to jazz things and classical things that are sort of beyond my ability to do stylistically. I mean, in particular, jazz things are sort of out of my realm technically, but I like listening just harmonically and just for the feel. And listening to other styles of music, you understand that there's all sorts of ways of defining what the feel is. And you know, when we started as a rock band, there's a feel that it's either got or doesn't have, but you kind of, after a while, if you listen to other kinds of music, you realize that there's all kinds of ways of having the feel. Because I mean, music, that really is the most important thing, I think, in music, is just the feel of the piece. And you know, we've always been really ambitious, and we just feel that a lot of music that's going on now in the popular vein is kind of settling music, that it isn't ambitious, and that people don't want to be really great. I mean, maybe they do, but it's just the impression that we get is that people don't have that kind of ambition to kind of cream other bands, and so it's hard for us. We listen to other things just so that we don't feel totally out of the loop of what's going on, but for enjoyment's sake, it's kind of hard to get into it.
I can go on forever, but these guys will kill me. So last question. How much, you mentioned that rock thing, how much of that part of you, though, in the inside is still Sparks, the rock band? Does that still live in each one of you to a certain degree?
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, that's what kind of frustrates us even about the current, pop music scene, is that our roots were always in rock music and pop music, especially British music. From the 60s, we were huge Anglophiles, and just everything from the bands that excited us most were the ones that were flashy, and fashion was a part of their whole stance, and the lyrics were also just provocative and being cool and stuff, and so that whole thing, and being rebellious in all of those kind of ways, where you were rebellious in what you wore, rebellious in what you were saying, and rebellious in the style of the music, and being rebellious in coming up with a pop single that you kind of went, oh my God, what is that? I got to check out who that was. And it seems now it's just really disillusioned that you don't kind of get that jolt from most of the stuff that we hear. And so in our small way, we're trying to jolt people in the same way that we were excited about rock music and pop music when we first moved to England, and try to create that sort of thing, but in our own kind of way.
And there's also that stylistically, there's kind of an underlying sort of sensibility about rock music, but even though we're kind of using music in ways that maybe doesn't sound like traditional rock music, that sensibility is kind of always a part of what we're doing. The effect on other people from what we're doing, we hope, is the same as like an incredible rock performance, even if you're hearing strings or just piano kind of music, that's always there. I mean, we really detest the label rock musical, and we would never put that with what we're doing, but we also really don't like traditional musicals as well. So we're kind of working in this area where we almost feel like we're creating a genre, but the basic sensibility and the kind of the heart of it are from people that grew up with rock music, and it's kind of can't be cut out of us whether we want it to be or not.
Well, very good. They're taking it new places.
Thanks, Ab. Yes.
That's perfect. So good, right? So whenever you're ready for real, we're all set.
Interior, Cannes Theatre Evening, 1956 Cannes Film Festival. The cavernous theater is full of beautiful women and the men who attract these beautiful women. There is a hush as the announcer approaches the podium. We can see the jury off to the side. The announcer taps the microphone twice.
Mesdames et messieurs, le prix de l'humour poétique du Festival du film de Cannes 1976 est décerné à Ingmar Bergman pour Sourire d'une nuit d'été.
Very nice. How long the thick things are you two now? Is it a daily rehearsal thing to get?
It's
there?
getting close to that,
Yeah.
yeah. And the hard part too is we have kind of been rehearsing with different actors on different days, so we end up.
The guy playing Bergman was really funny.
Oh yeah.
I've heard of him. He's done quite a few movies and stuff, hasn't he? Peter Franzen or
He's
something?
done tons, and I mean, it's mostly in Finland and stuff, but he's a big actor there, yeah. And his wife is the biggest female actress. The
Wow.
movie star too, is Serena Bjorklund.
Okay.
So,